BRS Flipology Episode 1 Style.
So styles tends to not only separate men, because they have their own doctrines, and then the doctrine became the gospel truth, that you cannot change, But if you do not have styles, if you just say, well, here I am, as a human being, how can I express myself totally and completely? Now, that way, you won't create a style, because style is a crystallization, that way, it's a process of continuing growth.
So how I would define style would probably be, very simply put, just what a flipper does and how they do it. Certain flippers, a lot of times, will do a lot of fanning and transfers, and then you have other flippers, a lot of times will do a lot of rollovers and twirling. Some will do just a lot of technical stuff. And then, in the how they do it, some they move around, they dance, some just try to do it fast, some do it slow, really it all combines together to create a flipper style. And what'll really make them stand out and just truly just set them apart from everyone else is how well they do it and how well they can present what they're doing.
Style is important in anything that you consider performance art or hobby or sport. Anything that's you're trying to get people to watch. It's not just for the skill or technique or how well you execute something, but the style in which you do it, the way you make it your own. To me, style is more important than almost anything. I mean, obviously you got to know how to complete a trick and how to do something that you're trying to execute, but until you can really make something your own, it doesn't really separate you from anywhere else, and it really doesn't become something that's interesting to look at. People can be really skilled and really master something to the degree of being able to execute the technique of doing it, but then maybe don't have their flair, they don't have their own style of doing it, and it just becomes looking mundane and kind of flat.
Hello, Nardath here. Today I'm going to talk about styles. I think style is really what defines a flipper. Without style, without soul, I think you just have a guy doing tricks. Another word would be cookie cutter. No style, just doing the stuff, kind of robotic.
BRS.
It took me a few years to develop my own style. It took me a good 2 years. I think a lot of beginners, smurfs, or watch OGs flip, and they pick at stuff. You see it a lot. So cookie cutter flippers just do whatever the other guys are doing. I see a lot of guys that come out and they just do stuff that looks like what I do. And eventually, once they start getting better and evolving on their own, that's when they start developing their own style.
If I had to define my own style in 3 words, probably fast. People say I'm pretty fast. Smooth. I like to make sure everything I do is smoothened out. And if you keep it smooth, you can go a little faster. And rollovers. I do a lot of rollovers. Even I'll almost consider, like, with chaplains, and even the way I do like my full twirls, I always add extra spins where it's sitting around the finger and rolling around. It just, I don't know, something about that I just tend to enjoy doing.
Memories won't be the death of me, but if I left next week, I confidently say I'd rest in peace. Can you solemnly repeat with honesty what I speak, if not reflect on how you think?
I've always been someone who's been about, focusing on not only just getting a trick down so that it's mindless and effortless, but then also trying to get that flair and that little touch that makes it my own. So people, almost don't even recognize the trick anymore and just say, that's just something that Johnny does. But and then to turn out it's really just the way that I'm putting a flair on something that's average and rather tame compared to other tricks that people do or have been doing for a long time.
3 words I chose to define my style is innovation, mutation, and aerials, because I don't mutate is where it's at for me. Just take stuff that already exists and put them in different orders and different axes, different add an aerial in there and do it with different fingers, upside down, 0G. I think that's what defines my style as a flipper.
With all the flippers today, it seems pretty obvious that all it takes is a little dedication and not being afraid of getting cut before you can execute some pretty technical tricks. But not until you really focus on getting those tricks to a point where they're your own and that you've got your own flair and your own style to them, do you really make that flipping? Does that really become something that people want to watch? That's something that's entertaining.
And you have a bunch of people nowadays, especially new flippers, they come up, they look at OGs, they see what they do, and then they'll try to take that style, and that's kind of what they know, so that's what they'll do. They see, oh, okay, well that's good, I'll do that. Eventually they'll start picking out things that they like to do, and that's how you'll end up developing your own style.
What would flipping be without style? Volley songs in general, everything. Sure, it came from a necessity of trying to have a knife that you could open with one hand, but there's ways to accomplish that. The volley song became popular in general as a tool just because of its style. Style is everything.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alien danger. 1, 2, 3.
I got nothing.
BRS Flipology.